They thought my silence meant weakness. But silence was my greatest weapon. When I tell people my story now, they think I'm strong. But back then, I was just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of explaining myself. Tired of being the woman who smiled through everything. My name is Evelyne. I was the quiet one. The kind of woman who didn't raise her voice, didn't chase drama, didn't fight back. I thought love was built on understanding, not confrontation. I thought loyalty was enough. I used to believe that if you gave people love, they'd return it. But I learned, some people take your love like air, they breathe it in and never thank you for it. Marcus, my husband, was the kind of man who filled every room he walked into. He laughed loudly, dressed sharply, spoke like every word was important. When we first met, I thought he was magic. He said I grounded him. That my quiet presence was his peace. And I believed him. We built a life together, the kind you see in magazines. A penthouse overlooking the city skyline. A life filled with dinner parties, travel plans, and laughter that echoed across marble floors. But when the laughter faded, the silence between us became louder. He was always busy. Always chasing something more. And slowly, the man who once looked at me like I was his world, started looking past me. Then there was Alina. She was my best friend. Or at least, I thought she was. She had this effortless charm, the kind that drew people in like light draws moths. We met years ago at a charity gala. She spilled her champagne on my dress and apologized 100 times. We laughed, exchanged numbers, and became inseparable. She was there when Marcus and I got engaged. She helped me pick my wedding dress. She stood beside me as my maid of honor, smiling wider than anyone. And yet, looking back, I remember the way she hugged Marcus that night. A little too long. The way her hand lingered on his shoulder. The way her eyes flickered when she thought I wasn't looking. But I brushed it off. Because love makes you blind to warning signs. Months passed. Marcus became distant. The late nights turned into weekends away. And when I asked, he'd laugh softly and say, "Don't worry, love. It's just work." Work. That word became the third person in our marriage. And I, the silent, patient wife, believed him. Because I wanted to. Until one evening, everything changed. It was Alina's birthday. She invited us to a rooftop dinner. "Just close friends," she said. I remember standing in front of my mirror, fixing my hair, choosing a dress that Marcus once said made me look like a sunrise he could never touch. But when I walked into that restaurant, the air felt strange. Everyone smiled, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes. And there, under the golden lights, Marcus was laughing. With her. She leaned on him like she belonged there. Her hand brushed his sleeve as she whispered something that made him SM. She leaned on him like she belonged there. Her hand brushed his sleeve as she whispered something that made him smile. I stood there for a moment, invisible in the world I had built. Then she turned, saw me, and smiled. "Evelyne. You made it. Sit here, next to Marcus." Her voice was sweet, too sweet. Like honey hiding poison. Marcus looked at me, nervous, almost guilty, then quickly masked it with a laugh. I smiled back. Because that's what I always did. Smile. Even when I was breaking inside. Throughout dinner, I watched them. Every glance, every soft whisper. The way she reached for his glass to sip his wine. The way he didn't pull away. And when someone made a joke about us couples switching partners for fun, everyone laughed, including them. Except me. I excused myself, went to the restroom, and looked in the mirror. For the first time, I didn't recognize the woman staring back. My mascara was perfect. My lipstick flawless. But my eyes, they looked hollow. Like a painting fading in the sun. That night, I didn't sleep. Marcus came home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. And when I asked where he'd been, he said, "You're imagining things, Evelyne."
Don't be dramatic. So I stopped asking. And started watching. The following weeks felt like living in slow motion. I'd hear his phone buzz late at night. He'd turn it face down. He'd shower longer than usual, leave earlier, come home later. And then, one evening, fate decided I had seen enough. Marcus left his laptop open. A message popped up, "I miss you already." From Alina. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't throw anything. I just stared at it. For a long time. Then I closed the laptop quietly. Made dinner. And smiled when he came home. Because that's what I did best, stay silent. But silence has its limits. That night, after he fell asleep, I got up, made myself tea, and sat by the window. The city lights shimmered below like tiny pieces of broken glass. And I realized. I was done being quiet. They thought they were writing my ending. But I had just begun a new chapter. Because betrayal doesn't destroy strong women. It reveals them. And the woman they betrayed wasn't the same woman who once believed love could fix everything.
People think betrayal hits you like lightning, sudden, loud, violent. But mine came like winter. Slow. Quiet. Creeping into the corners of my home until everything warm inside me felt cold. After I saw that message on Marcus's laptop, "I miss you already," something inside me shifted. Not broken, no. Breaking is loud. What I felt was quieter, deeper, like a lock clicking shut inside my chest. For the first time in years, I looked at my life with clear eyes. The home I bought with my inheritance. The business I built before I met him. The life he walked around in as if it belonged to him. And the woman I trusted like a sister. Stepping into the spaces I had created with my own hands. I didn't cry. Tears felt too precious for people who treated me like a background character in my own story. Instead, I observed. Marcus started being extra sweet. Little gifts, little compliments, little touches on my shoulder. Guilt always tries to disguise itself as affection. One morning he brought me breakfast in bed, pancakes, strawberries, and a kiss on my forehead. I thanked him. Smiled. Played along. Because silence was my shield. And shields aren't thrown away before battle. The second observation, Alina became careful. Too careful. She called me more often. "Just checking on you, Evie. Miss you, babe. We should do a spa day." She spoke fast, laughed louder, filled every second of silence with noise. Guilt makes people chatty. Whenever her name flashed on my phone, I answered. Because if someone plans to betray you, it's wiser to let them think you're blind. Days passed like that. A careful dance, though they never realized they were the dancers. And I had become the choreographer. I started observing patterns. Their calls, their meetings, their excuses. A woman's intuition is not a soft thing. It's a weapon carved from every lie she's ever forgiven. I began documenting everything. Dates. Times. Receipts. Photographs. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I wanted truth, and truth requires evidence. And I knew the day would come when I'd need every piece of it.
A Friday evening. The kind when the city looks like it's glowing from within, windows lit, streets alive, air warm and humming. Marcus called at 5:37 p.m. "I'll be late, love. Big meeting. Don't wait up." His voice was too polite. Too careful. Men lie differently when they're protecting a secret instead of a mistake. I looked at his reflection on my phone screen. But saw Alina's perfume on his shirt the night before. I didn't ask where he was going. Didn't question who he was meeting. I simply said, "All right. Drive safe." Because I already knew. I had seen the restaurant booking on his email. Under a fake name. Their initials hidden in a tiny corner of the reservation. So I got dressed. Not in sadness. Not in rage. but in dignity. A long silk dress. Soft curls. Minimal makeup. A quiet woman can look like a storm if she chooses. When I arrived at the restaurant, the host looked at me with sympathy. He recognized my picture from Marcus's social media. "Your husband just arrived, ma'am, but he isn't alone." I smiled. The kind of smile people fear, gentle, controlled, knowing. "I know," I whispered. "Please don't announce me." He understood. Maybe he'd seen heartbreak before. Maybe he'd lived it. I stood where they couldn't see me, behind a pillar covered in ivy. Marcus leaned in. Alina touched his hand across the table. Her laugh was soft. His eyes were warm. Warm in a way they hadn't been for me in months. And the painful part wasn't that they were together. It was how natural they looked. Like this was not their first time. Like betrayal had become routine. But here's the part no one expects. I didn't feel my heart collapse. Didn't feel jealousy or rage. I felt clarity. Like the universe had finally turned on the lights in a dark room. I walked out before they ever saw me. Not because I was weak. But because I didn't need them to see me breaking. I needed them to see me winning. The plan began that night. On the drive home, the city glowed beneath me, tall, bright, sharp. Like a reminder of the woman I used to be. The woman I still was. I called my lawyer, Jonathan. He had handled my business contracts for years. "Jonathan," I said softly, "I need you to prepare something. And I need it quietly." He didn't ask questions. Good lawyers never do. I started gathering documents. Property deeds, business shares, bank transfers, messages, photographs. My silence wasn't empty. It was preparation. Because quiet women don't explode. They execute. And then, fate handed me the final piece. 3 days later, Marcus told me he and Alina were planning a surprise birthday dinner for me. He said it with such sincerity, as if I didn't already know. "Oh?" I asked softly. "That's sweet." He smiled. Kissed my cheek. Told me he loved me. And for a moment, I almost pitied him. Because he really believed I was still blind. But blindness is a choice. And I had chosen sight. That night, alone in my penthouse, I whispered to myself. They think my silence means weakness. But silence is where my strength was born. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and stepped into a version of myself I had forgotten existed. A woman who wasn't afraid. A woman who didn't chase. A woman who didn't break. A woman who waited. And watched. And won. Because the sweetest revenge is served without raising your voice. I don't remember driving home. Maybe my hands were on the steering wheel, but my mind was somewhere else entirely, floating through memories I didn't ask for, sharp enough to cut. The city lights blurred into streaks, like tears my eyes refused to shed. By the time I reached my apartment, I felt hollow. Not broken, just emptied. The silence hit me first. Isn't it strange how silence changes after betrayal? It used to mean peace. Now it sounded like something dying quietly in the corner of the room. I stood there for a long time, looking at the skyline through my window. Those tall glass towers glittered like nothing bad ever happened inside them. Like lives didn't fall apart behind their expensive walls. I walked to the couch and collapsed into it, letting my head fall back. My phone buzzed, and for a moment I thought, maybe he'll explain, maybe guilt cracked him open already. But no. Marcus sent me 2 words. Working late. I actually laughed. A small, humorless sound. Men like him don't confess. They only get exposed. I opened my photo gallery. My finger hovered over our pictures. Hawaii. Our engagement. His birthday last year. His smile, the one he practiced in every reflection he passed. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I simply felt a voice return to me, a voice I hadn't heard since I held my grandmother's hand at 17. Baby, pain only destroys you if you carry it alone. I closed my eyes. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I needed the truth, not the version he rehearsed. So the next morning, I woke up before dawn. My body felt weak, but my mind was steady. I showered, dressed in a long black coat, tied my hair back, and stepped out into the cold morning air. I drove across the city to a little cafe between two bookshops. A man with silver glasses was already there, seated in the corner, sipping black coffee like he had all the time in the world. Detective Harris. My family's old friend. Trusted. Quiet. A man who didn't believe in unnecessary words. He stood when I approached. Evelyne, you look exhausted. I am, I whispered. But I need the truth. I can't live in shadows anymore. What do you want me to look into? He asked gently. My husband, I murmured. And my best friend. I need proof. Not suspicions. Proof. He nodded once. You'll have it. I believed him. For days, I moved like someone watching her own life from a distance. I worked. I cooked when Marcus came home pretending the world hadn't changed. I listened to him lie so easily it felt rehearsed. Meanwhile, Harris worked in the background, silent, efficient, patient. Every night, I sat by my window and listened for my grandmother's voice inside my memory. The truth hurts less than pretending. On the fifth evening, my phone buzzed. Evelyne, Harris said, I think you should come see this yourself. My stomach sank like a stone. I grabbed my coat, barely felt the cold hitting my skin, and drove with the windows down, letting the wind sting my face awake. We met outside a hotel. A hotel I had once recommended to a friend for her honeymoon. Life had a strange sense of humor. Harris didn't say a word, he just handed me a folder. I opened it. Photographs. Marcus. Alina. Together. Walking in. Walking out. Her hand in his. His smile too intimate for a friend. Their bodies leaning close in ways I once leaned into him. The last photo was the hardest, Marcus brushing her hair behind her ear. A gesture he used to do to me when he thought no one was watching. For a moment, my breath didn't move. I wasn't shattered. I wasn't even surprised. I was simply emptied again. As if the truth had scooped out whatever remained of the woman I used to be. But then something unexpected clicked inside me, like a quiet, steady flame catching after days of smoke. I felt calm. Steady. Almost relieved. Thank you, I said quietly. Harris hesitated. Evelyne, what now? I looked at the photos again, then at the glowing city behind him. I rewrite my story, I said. Not because of revenge, but because I finally understand my worth. And them? He asked. A soft smile tugged at my lips. Not cruel. Not vindictive. Just peaceful. They'll learn, I whispered. Life always teaches those who take love for granted. As I walked back to my car, the world felt different. The cold wind didn't bite. The city lights looked less like warnings and more like possibilities. And then her voice came back to me, my grandmother's old, warm, tender voice, the one that always appeared when I needed it most. When someone betrays you, child, don't lose yourself. Let them lose you. For the first time since the night everything collapsed, I felt strength return to my bones. Quiet strength. Patient strength. The kind that waits, and then rises. This wasn't the start of revenge. This was the start of my freedom. I didn't confront him that night. I didn't storm into the room or throw the photographs in his face like in the movies. That kind of chaos belongs to people who want closure from the person who hurt them. I wasn't one of them anymore. I wanted closure from myself, from the woman who kept forgiving silence, excuses, and lies disguised as effort. So I made dinner like I always did. I set the table. I waited. And when Marcus finally walked in, smelling like a cologne I never bought him, he kissed my forehead as if nothing in the universe was broken. And I remember thinking, "You lie so gently. Like you believe the softness makes it less cruel." We ate. He talked about work. I nodded, even though every word he said sounded like static in my ears. Then he reached out and touched my hand. A simple gesture. A familiar one. But something inside me recoiled like a flame hitting cold water. He noticed. "You okay, Eve? You seem off." For the first time in months, I looked him straight in the eyes. Not as his wife. Not as his comfort. But as a woman who finally saw him clearly. "I'm just tired," I said softly. A half-truth. Tired of being loyal to someone who wasn't loyal to me. Tired of carrying the whole marriage alone. Tired of pretending I didn't see what I saw. He smiled distractedly and went back to eating. That night, I waited until he fell asleep. His breathing was slow, steady, peaceful, the kind of peace only the guilty enjoy. I watched him for a long moment, and I didn't hate him. Hate takes energy. He wasn't worth mine anymore. The next morning, I woke up before him, dressed quietly, and left. Not to run away. To prepare. Because silence is not weakness. Sometimes, silence is strategy. I met with my lawyer, Audrey, sharp, graceful, a woman who built herself without apology. When she saw the photographs, her expression didn't change, but her eyes softened. "Evelyne. I'm sorry." "I'm not," I whispered. "I just want my life back." She leaned forward. "You funded 70% of your home. You invested in his startup. You cleared his father's medical debt. You carried more than a wife should ever have to carry alone. You don't leave empty-handed." I exhaled, slow and steady. "Then let's begin." She nodded. "We'll handle the finances quietly. You don't owe him a warning." For the next week, I lived with a calmness I hadn't felt in years. Marcus laughed like a man who believed secrets were loyal to him. Alina posted pictures with captions about friendship and sisterhood. And I smiled. I waited. I healed in silence. But the universe has its own timing. And sometimes, poetic justice doesn't wait for paperwork. It was a Saturday morning, bright and cold, when everything cracked open. Marcus walked into the kitchen holding his phone, confusion tightening his jaw. "Evelyne, did you talk to the bank?" "No," I said, pouring myself tea. "My card isn't working." "Oh." I looked up mildly. "That's strange." He dialed again, pacing. Then came the panic. "What do you mean the accounts are frozen?" "All of them." "That's impossible, my business account too." "Who authorized?" He stopped. Slowly. Very slowly. Then he looked at me. Really looked. "Evelyne, what did you do?" I set my tea down gently and met his eyes with the calmness of a woman who has already crossed the fire and survived it. "I protected what's mine," I said. He blinked. "But, why? What's happening?" I tilted my head. "That depends, Marcus. Do you want the truth? Or the lie you rehearsed for me?" His face paled. His hands trembled. His mouth opened, then closed. And right then, right in the center of his silence, I felt something powerful. Peace. He sat down, a man sinking under the weight of his own choices. "Evelyne. I can explain. You can try." I folded my arms. "But I already know." He swallowed. Hard. "Who told you?" I let your actions speak for you, I said softly. And they spoke louder than any confession. He stared at me, and something broke in his expression. The arrogance. The charm. The ease. Gone. He sat there not as my husband, but as a stranger who had run out of excuses. Then he whispered, "Are you leaving me?" I paused. And in that pause, I felt every wound, every silent night, every ignored intuition, every moment I swallowed my pain to protect his comfort. "No," I said. His eyes lit with confusion. "You're not." "I'm not leaving." I leaned forward, my voice low but steady. "I'm letting you leave." He didn't understand at first. Then I watched the meaning hit him like 3 waves. I wouldn't chase him. I wouldn't fix him. I wouldn't carry him anymore. The door he opened was the same door he would walk out of. And then came the final blow, the one he never saw coming. "Marcus," I whispered, "the house is mine. The business you claim is yours. I own controlling shares. You won't be homeless, but you won't be living here." He stared like the ground disappeared beneath him. "Evelyne, please." "I stayed loyal," I said softly. "You didn't. This is the cost." His voice cracked. "I made a mistake." "We all do," I said. "Some mistakes cost more than others." And at that moment, I felt something new rise in my chest. Not revenge. Not anger. Not triumph. Strength. Quiet, dignified strength. He stood slowly, shoulders shaking, and whispered something I never thought I'd hear. "I thought you needed me." I smiled, small, sad, honest. "That was your biggest mistake." I walked past him, not with rage, but with relief. And as I reached the doorway, I said the last truth he would ever hear from me. "You didn't just lose your wife today, Marcus. You lost the woman who would have loved you forever." I woke up before sunrise, long before the city began humming its usual expensive melodies of engines, elevators, and tired ambition. The morning light slipped through the curtains like a secret, touching the marble floors of my penthouse. For the first time in months, I felt something soft inside me, not victory, not anger, something gentler. Something I had almost forgotten. Peace. But peace never stays quiet for long. Not in a city where every day is a new performance. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A familiar voice message. "Auntie May." "Child, you sound lighter these days," she said, her voice warm, wise, aged like honey. "But don't let peace make you forget who hurt you. Forgiveness is good, but forgetting? That's how pain returns wearing a new face." I smiled. Auntie May always knew how to place her words straight into a person's bones. Somehow, she always saw the truth before I did. I got out of bed and walked toward the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't the trembling wife from months ago. My eyes had steadied. My shoulders stood tall. The silence that once felt like a prison now felt like armor. But healing is never complete. Sometimes it arrives in fragments, unexpected, uneven. And that morning, there was still a fragment left to face. Marcus. He had been quiet since everything fell apart. No calls. No messages. No drama. Alina had moved out of state, disappearing into whatever life she hoped would erase what she'd done. But Marcus. I knew he was still here, somewhere under the same skyline, struggling to breathe beneath the weight of his own choices. And part of me, the very part one wished didn't exist, wanted to hear his voice one last time. Not to forgive. Not to reconcile. Just to close the final door. So I called him. His voice answered on the second ring, small and worn out. "Evelyne. I didn't think you'd ever call again." I took a slow breath. I need to see you. One time. No fights. No accusations. Just closure. He exhaled shakily. Okay. Whenever you're ready. That's how I found myself driving through the city, through the wide polished streets of the life we once built together, or rather, the life I built while he looked for better places to stand. He was waiting at our old favorite cafe, the one where we used to sit pretending our love was unbreakable. He looked older. Thinner. Like life had finally stopped protecting him. He stood up when he saw me. You look strong, he said quietly. I am, I replied. And I didn't come here to go back to anything. I just came to finish what your choices started. He sat down slowly. I know you hate me. I don't, I whispered, surprising even myself. I don't hate you, Marcus. Hate ties you to someone forever. I'm done being tied to you. He swallowed hard. I made mistakes. I was weak. I thought attention meant love. And when Alina. I lifted my hand, stopping him. Don't say her name. She doesn't need a place in this memory. He nodded, defeated. We sat in silence for a moment, the kind that carries too many ghosts. Then I spoke again. You know, for a long time, I blamed myself. Thought maybe I was too quiet. Too patient. Too trusting. But I've realized those were never flaws. They were gifts. Gifts you didn't know how to honor. His eyes reddened. I lost the best thing I ever had. No, I said softly. You lost the best thing you never understood. He closed his eyes like the words hurt. And maybe they did, but pain was the only honest thing left between us. I stood up, ready to leave. Evelyne, he said, voice trembling. Do you think I'm a bad man? I paused, turning back to him. No. You're just a man who didn't know how to value loyalty. That doesn't make you evil. It just means you weren't meant for me. He looked down at the table, the same table where we once dreamed of forever. I walked away. Outside, the air felt new, like the city had been holding its breath until I finally freed myself. I stepped into the sunlight, letting it warm the parts of me that had gone cold too long. My phone buzzed again. A message from Grandma May. Child, the heart grows strong when it learns to let go. Don't look back too long. Life is waiting in front. I whispered, I know, more to myself than to her. As I walked toward my car, I felt something I hadn't felt since before everything shattered. Hope. Not for Marcus. Not for Alina. Not for the life I lost. But for the woman I was becoming, the woman who rose from silence, who turned betrayal into wisdom, who walked through fire without losing her softness. I drove home with the windows down, letting the wind carry away the final pieces of a story that no longer belonged to me. Because some endings aren't meant to hurt. Some endings are the beginning of a better version of yourself. And mine had just begun. The night everything finally settled in my heart, I found myself walking alone through Riverside Park. The city lights shimmered on the water, stretching into long, trembling reflections, like memories trying to hold on to something that was already gone. I sat on the cold bench where Marcus once held my hand and promised me forever. Funny how people speak in forevers when they can't even keep their todays. The wind carried the smell of damp leaves and distant food carts. Life around me moved on, couples laughing, children running, old men playing chess, and for the first time, I didn't feel like an outsider in my own story. I felt present. I took a deep breath, and the pain didn't stab me this time. It simply existed, the way old scars do, visible, but no longer bleeding. Then my phone buzzed. A voice message. From an unknown number. My heartbeat stumbled. I pressed play. Evelyne, it's Alina. Her voice was shaky, nothing like the confident, polished tone she used when she sat in my living room pretending to be my friend. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know sorry means nothing now, but I needed to say it out loud. I was jealous of you. Of your life. Your success. Your marriage. Everything. I thought, if I took what you had, maybe I'd finally feel enough. There was a pause, a long, broken pause. But I didn't take your life. I ruined my own. I hope one day, you can forgive me for the pain I caused. Not for me, but for you. The message ended. And I just sat there, staring at the river, letting her words sink in like stones falling into still water. For a moment, I waited for the anger to rise again. But it didn't. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Something unfamiliar. Compassion. She took everything she could from me. But in the end, she lost far more. I whispered into the wind, I forgive you. Not because she deserved it, but because I did. As the words left my mouth, a soft warmth spread across my chest, like a weight finally slipping off my shoulders. And then, faint as a memory, I heard Auntie May's voice in my mind. Baby, forgiveness ain't for the person who hurt you. It's the key you use to unlock your own cage. I closed my eyes and let her wisdom wrap around me like a shawl. I wasn't the same woman who cried on bathroom tiles. I wasn't the same wife who stayed silent to keep the peace. I wasn't the same friend who loved too blindly. I was something stronger. I stood up, brushing off the cold from my coat. The city looked different now, not hostile, not overwhelming, but full of possibilities. Like every building light was a reminder that life kept shining, even after storms blew through. When I reached home, I turned on the lamps one by one. My apartment glowed warmly, like it had been waiting for me to return to myself. I set a kettle on the stove, hearing the soft whistle rise. As I poured tea into my favorite cup, my hands didn't tremble anymore. On the balcony, I leaned against the railing, watching the world breathe. For the first time in a long time. My heart felt quiet. Not numb. Not broken. Quiet, in the way deep oceans are quiet. Alive, powerful, steady. I lifted my cup to the night sky. To new beginnings, I whispered. And the universe, in its gentle way, whispered back through the breeze. You made it. The final realization washed over me slowly, like dawn over a tired city. They betrayed me. They underestimated me. They broke what they thought was fragile. But I rebuilt myself stronger. And in the end, my silence was never weakness. It was the sound of a woman rising. I closed my balcony door, let the city lights fade behind me, and walked forward into a new chapter, one I would write with certainty, courage, and peace. The kind that comes only when you finally choose yourself.